by fellow student brothers, sovereign thinkers. This is LL3's newest podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy range of South Florida, and today's date, Thursday, November 15th, 2018. So let us begin. Ooh, alright. Thanks for tuning in. Looks like I had a little sway there of the signals. That's okay. But I'm at Stash, located at 109 Southwest 2nd Avenue in the heart of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Hershey District to be exact. Adjacent with Revolution Live and America's Backyard. I haven't really been talking about the California wildfires. I've been here observed a few areas and take the initiative on. So that means some of the videos, photos, and some people are calling it could be a direct energy weapon. Anchor for that is DEW. So I'm going to be talking about that because based on the videos, clips I've seen, there's a lot of merit behind it. And there's not saying it is 100%. However, there's some questions people have the right to know, especially the ones that suffered from it. The ones who've perished. And I can go on. And so justice had to be done for these folks if this is the case. That's the case. I'll be talking about that and a few other things like MK Ultra and about Whitaker, Matthew Whitaker, considered a quote-unquote interim Attorney General, which I find him very interesting compared to the Attorney General that was resigned, but some people say he was fired. Well, federal supremacy doesn't pay. I'm talking about former AG Sessions. So I have to give my intake on that. So let's just begin from Covert Politics, the name of the website, Covert Geopolitics, excuse me, and it's entitled, came out yesterday, it's entitled California Wildfire, Another Direct Energy Weapon Attack. That's the question mark. And as it reads here, the recent California fire occurred with some very distinct anomalies that would raise a lot of questions to those who are fully aware of existing exotic ultra-high energy-based technologies that were invented more than 100 years ago. Here's some of the aftermath of the California wildfire. As you may notice, there's a discrepancy between the standing trees and the completely obliterated houses. And those are in good faith. A lot of questions. Here are some similar situations in the recent past, which was caused by direct energy weapon system due and for what it does, what purpose does it serve, with a series of geo-weapon attacks forced the Trump government to go back to the Paris Climate Accord. The notorious made-up site tried to smother any evidence-based analysts similar to events in the past. And there's a video on here too on why the trees didn't burn and the homes did. So there's a video on that. And it was interesting. Someone put a comment on here. Just below the comment section, the same debunker videos, a certain SOB, SOBB 3393 made the following comment. Please explain how the fire started in the first place and why the roads are clear of debris. Also explain why we don't see any evidence of any portion of the videos of these fires. Also, please explain how a plastic garbage bin in the driveway of a leveled house is still intact. Plastic wheelie bins aren't wooden, so explain the anomaly in another video. As a firefighter and fire investigation officer for 38 plus years, I can honestly say I have never seen any fire behave like this, nor I have ever seen this type of fire aftermath. I mean, the clean roadways, house burnt to the ground where not even toilet survives, unheard of anywhere ever. Something's very suspicious about these fires. That was SOB, SOBB 3393. And that is very interesting indeed. And it says here, We can debate it all day long, of course, but it's important to know that energy weapons do exist, and for how, when the technology is to be used, is absolutely beyond our control. Here's an unclassified file taken directly from the U.S. military base, Operational Defense through Control in 2013. And actually, this one came out April 2009. And you got the authors in here as well, Major C. Boger Major, United States Air Force. So I will continue on here. Abstract: the United States needs to incorporate defense against direct energy weapons with the same intensity used in developing anti-ballistic missile defenses. One of the major drawbacks to optical or direct energy systems is the inability to penetrate clouds or dense fog. Advancing technologies are beginning to bring weather phenomenon under our control, greatly increased computing power, and micronized delivery systems will allow us to use specific perturbations in local atmospheric conditions. These perturbations allow for immediate and lasting ability to create localized fog or stratus cloud formations, shielding critical assets against attack from energy-based weapons. The future of nanotechnology will enable creation of stratus cloud formations to defeat dew and optically target attacks on the United States assets. The solution: the weather control problem involves network miniature balloons feeding and receiving data from a four-dimensional variation, computer model through a sensor and actor network. A network of diamond wall balloons enter the area to be changed, and then both measures and affect the localized temperatures and vapor content. This system effectively shortens the control loop of an atmospheric system to the point it can be managed. The capabilities in the diamond wall balloons are based on the future of nanotechnology. By creating clouds in specific locations and altitude blocks, optical weapon systems will be forced to occupy predictable locations, making them easier to target or avoid. Making the tracking laser and weapon the same thing reduces weapon time of flight and is capable of DE. Yes, the person is grinding coffee. You hear that in the background. That's Alex, by the way. He does really good. And we'll continue on here. Direct energy weapons. High energy lasers, which is HEL, H-E-L, and high power microwaves, acronym for that is HPM, are currently the primary methods of direct energy attack. Both these categories break down further into methods of creating the laser or microwave energies, as well as transmission and control of the beams. There's the expectations that within the next 15 years, these types of DO will become increasingly common on the battlefield. Department of Defense, DoD, interested in the direct energy program spans from tactical use, strategic use, on the ground and around and in space. HEL and HPM technologies have different methods of effectiveness on their target. HELs apply high temperatures on the surface, destroying their target. Lasers can also cause disorientating effects on the operator of their target. HPMs affect the internal circuitry of the target for the internal issues of the operator. Both HELs and HPMs have the strength of zero time of flight, but the effects require a great deal of energy to remain coherent from the weapon to the target. HEL and HPM require separate discussion of effects and defeat mechanisms. DOs have a limited operation within the electromagnetic spectrum. The powers of these weapons depends on their electromagnetic signature. Figure 1 shows where laser and microwave weapons inhabit the electromagnetic spectrum. Both wavelengths and frequencies are AU, ACSC, Boger, AY09 tied together. Since the speed of energy weapon is considered to be constant at the speed of light, C, as a result of the variables, wavelength, or frequencies are characteristics that can be modified. The amount of energy per second, measured as watts, depends on the pulse length or total amount of lasing or radiating time for a given beam. As frequency increases, wavelength decreases, and the amount of energy in a direct beam also increases. And there is an actual diagram for that. You can see it for yourselves. Very intriguing indeed. It says here AU, ACSC, Boger, AY09. The size of these predicted elements depends on the frequency of measurements and the number of data points available in the given system. The WRFM does not look at the global system. It does accurately simulate the internal and intra-system physics of clouds. So why can't the weathermen get it right? The availability of the WRFM and the computing program to support it are limited. The WRFM is a collaborative operation between the NOAA, NCAR, and other 6 major organizations. The WRFM is mostly used for research and future forecast method modeling, getting a proper amount and timelessness of data into the RFM. WRFM is the weatherman's limitation. Most radar and satellite measurements methods take samples of portions of the weather system, updating and maintaining a persistent stream of system data from distinct points in the system simultaneously is difficult. Most current methods of measurement are very capable of describing portions of the weather system by their movement or change. This method of mass flux element measurement works well with linear models. Inputs are proportional to outputs. The non-linear modeling requires for selective use of data. For better data assimilation and utilization, the measurement devices also need to be part of the weather system. This is where technology will fill the gap. The fast modeling and computations of the WRFM are now hindered by the accuracy of measuring in the system. How does one go from taking accurate forecasts to the actual development of a weather system? Interesting indeed, right? Something to think about. Foundations of weather control. Relevance tree. Relevant trees help break a concept down to the basic functions and requirements. For weather control, these topics further devolve into the physical or operational parts of a system to create a cloud in the atmosphere. The relevance tree was used as a tool to determine what AU, ACSC, Bulger, AY09 technologies need to be linked in order to control a complex system like weather. Through collaboration between experts in weather, computing modeling, and nanotechnologies, the elements of the system are reduced from required functions to the suggested components for weather creation. The concept of relevance trees is in Appendix A, which is a diagram for that, presents a cloud development requirement with some additional considerations. Isolating and establishing the atmospheric area to modify became the initial area of discussion among members of the Weather Modification Association and subject matter experts, or SMEs. The concept tree indicated a grand set of 10 major criteria. 1. Establish isolated system. 2. Measurable variables in system. 3. Determine required variable values in the system. 4. Change variables in the system. 5. Network system components. 6. Control locations of components. 7. Deconfliction with other assets. 8. Manpower. 9. Side effects. And 10. Vulnerability to attack. Yeah, hopefully you're enjoying this as well, alright? Weather Modification Association's panel of experts and author, 2008. The size of the problem required the researcher to focus the problem to just accomplishing the development of a cloud system. As a result, items 8 through 10 were removed from this project. Manpower, possible side effects, and vulnerability of the weather control system are important, but were found to be the beyond scope of this project. The remaining items were further broken down to the descriptions of their function. Great consideration was given to the difficulty of isolating the atmosphere for modeling. Debate and expert input settled the issue to broad effect, stabilizing the mass flow to manageable levels in which the elements within the mesoscale could be affected would suffice. The concept relevance tree has broken down to the critical requirements of isolating the atmospheric area, measuring and setting variables within the system. An ACSC Burger AY09, a closed-loop system, needs to develop to control weather. Weather control goes on one step further than the current capabilities of 3D VAR modeling while measuring atmospheric variables outside the system. Two major technological humps stand in the way of weather control. First, making a cloud in a specific geographic area requires setting and isolating to a system to create weather in, much like controlling the air mass with an air conditioner. Second, Actual methods of altering the temperature, pressure, or vapor content within the elements of the system. Idea gas law, PV equals nRT, is an extremely simplistic way of regarding the control of weather. The water vapor content changes this from an idea gas equation, but sufficiently models the interaction. Cloud development depends on vapor content and method of coalescing into an aperture cloud. So it's interesting about pressure x volume equal quantity, moles x gas constant, x temperature. PV equals nRT, with a lowercase n to be exact. Condensation rate is proportional to vapor condensation based on idea gas law. It is iterative and complex interaction between the equilibrium and condensation and the idea gas law that will develop clouds. Volume, in this case, depends on mass flow rates. Pressure and temperature depend on each other, and the water content in the air will determine at what temperature, pressure a cloud will form. The nuclei of cloud formations can vary from water droplets to a micro ice crystals. Change in pressure and temperature altitude determine in the construct of that mixture. How do you control the inputs and outputs to your system? I give you nanotechnology. It's like a billionth. That means nano. The component relevance, which is Appendix B, master requirements, cross-referencing the requirements with the environmental scan of future nanotechnology and AUACSC Bolger AY09 computer modeling provided solutions to the concept relevance tree. The primary problem determined through the relevance diagram was speed and precision at which a closed-loop weather control system could operate. Nanotechnology enables sensors networking answer the problems of measuring, altering and communicating with variables within the weather system. VDVAR modeling combined with current computing power and accurate data accounted for the control of the system. Delivery of these systems can be accomplished with current technology. Having the sensors network means modification of the atmosphere. Part of the proposed cloud system removes control lag. The center of this weather control system revolves around a formation of a diamond nano skin balloons encasing a host of nano machines. Current weather modification research focuses on the new concept of determining critical optimal perturbations in atmospheric conditions that will, in essence, box in the volume of airspace. The area interest does not need to have a zero mass flow. The flow only needs to be stabilized and directional enough allow for modification of temperature, pressure, and vapor content to the degree that it results in cloud formations. Perturbations can be simple as heating or cooling large areas of atmosphere. Large space reflectors could quickly generate a large high pressure area. The perturbation does not need to be as specific as building a cloud system that may be hundreds of miles away from the area of interest. Once these design blockades are in effect, the air mass has been stabilized that can be adjusted. This is similar to using smoke in a test section of a wild tunnel. The follow flow needs to be constant and directional enough for the smoke added to allow visualization and aerodynamic effects in the tunnel test section. Micro and nanotechnology provides both detailed sensor grid to measure critical variables in a weather generation algorithm and then fill the variables required to generate the 20 AU ACSC Bolger AY09 desired effects. Current computer program power enables VDVAR modeling. Computing power in 2020 will enable networking and sensor grid. Require 4D VAR analysts to determine variable. Setting to establish these perturbations, the control system. 4D VAR extrapolates on the capabilities of WRFM 3D VAR analysts and determines the minimum large-scale perturbation necessary. The modeling starts with small initial state perturbations and stimulates the nonlinear response over a 4 to 6 hour 12-hour window. 6 to 12-hour window, there. For the application of these perturbations take form of an isolated low and high pressure area or trough to steer the jet stream or its effect in relations to the area of interest, making the high or low pressure area can be simple as heating or cooling a massive column of air with the diamond balloons. Experiment on 4D VAR modeling began in 2002, already capable of handling weather control data. Dr. Hoffman of Atmospheric and Environmental Research Incorporated and the former NASA Institute for Advanced Concepts, which is NAIC, denies that weather is a truly chaotic system when modeled through 4D VAR methods. Once the mass flow into and out of the area is controlled, it becomes a simple issue of establishing specific localized temperature, dew point spread, pressure gradient, and water content per volume of air through a column in the atmosphere. Dr. J. Stars Hall provides a solution to the half of the concept relevance tree through Insight diamond nanoskin balloons. The components help indicate now nanotechnology will enable diamond nanoskin balloons to accomplish several tasks. Dr. Hall best described the diamond balloons. You build a little balloon. My guess is the balloon needs to be somewhere between a millimeter and a centimeter in size. It has a very thin shell of diamond, just made a nanometer thick. It means a billionth of a meter thick. Okay, so just to let you folks know. It is round and it has inside an equatorial plane that is a mirror. If you squash it flat, well, you only have a few nanometers thick of material. Although you could build a balloon out of material that we build balloons out now, it would not be economical for what I'm going to use it for. Interesting point there, right? Motion, location, and networking of the balloons can be controlled in several ways. Altitude is controlled through the buoyancy of the balloon through a combination of electrolysis of water and nanopumps, removing molecular water from within the balloon. The walls of the bathroom could have nanofans providing additional thrust. Utilization of the Earth's magnetic field and charge of this on the skin of the balloons themselves will aid in formation, keeping with other balloons. Nano network controllers within each balloon will maintain contact with neighboring balloons. Solar power through the nano antenna arrays with large nano batteries. Proton exchange membrane (PEM) batteries are current day nanotechnology that is powered by electrolysis of water. Directional micro antenna will be able to determine position of the balloons with the formation relative to one another. The diamond balloons will house an array of sensors and communication technology, which is currently being developed to build radios from carbon nanotubes. These communication systems collect and transmit on-site accurate data to the complex computer systems that model and establish the controls of the weather for the weather system. Some of the larger balloons functions as a node housing GPS receiver. 67 and micronized networks uplink to provide high-frequency communication of the network to a ground station or UAV. The distribution of these balloons will depend on the amount of atmospheric mass flows in the AOR. Discussions with the WMA participants and Dr. Hall estimate at least 1 or 2 balloons per cubic meter would be required to initiate changes in conditions. These estimates were based on current cloud seeding densities. Networking these balloons similar to current research into nanoswarms. The study of a sensor and actor network, SANET, encompasses the communication, control, and activity of our proposed balloon network. Such a network concept includes a requirement to maneuver nodes and communicate in a complex and distributed network. The study of self-controlling communicating networks began in the 1960s. The concept ACSC Boger AY09 accelerated within at least 5 years with the spread of interrogated wireless networking. The functions of SANET specifically require a network of sensors to communicate, maintain positional distribution, and sense among a distribution of nodes. These nodes then pass the data to and from monolithic processing center for 4D VAR model in this case. The nets are currently limited by architecture and power, but already being developed. Weather control applications such networks follow the development timeline and technology of autonomous nanotechnology swarms. Oh, it'll be more like self-control according to this, right? Hope if I read that one more time. Autonomous nanotechnology swarms. And there's a cute little photo of this. So if that's the goal, try to get it going around 2030. So we can try to get this 12 years from now. So something to think about, folks. Figure 2, autonomous nanotechnology swarms, or ANTS, anchoring for that. Develop timeline. There's a website for that, and you can see it for yourselves. Autonomous nanotechnology swarms, or ANTS, is currently being researched by Goddard Space Flight Center. Modeled after insects, ANTS is network architectural applicable future nanofactories. Goddard Space Flight Center is currently using ANTS beginning in experiments 23 AU ACSC Boger AY09 with large-scale robot herds. It's like Terminators, you know? ANTS is a supporting structure for addressable, reconfigurable technology, or ART. That's the anchor for that. That's what the anchor for it. The core of ART is a network swarm of nanomachines capable of configuring themselves for a variety of tasks. The element control requirements for ARTs are nearly identical to what is required for the proposed network of nano-enabled balloons for weather sensing and control. It's like HARP on steroids when you keep on reading this. You know? Time of ANTS development in Figure 2, usable functionality for distributed SANET control by 2030. The individual methods of atmospheric modification at the molecular level share development with the capability of nanomachines. A combination of nanopumps working at the molecular level can transport water between the layers in the atmosphere as a balloon bob up and down in the air column. Nanofactories can conduct electrolysis on water molecularly, building nuclei of droplets or ice crystals, or reducing water vapor, cooling through thermoelectric materials currently being designed for computer applications will enable control of the balloon skin temperature. Cooling and vapor content will have an effect on the localized pressure as a result of the idea gas law. As with many non-linear systems, small inputs can develop large and self-sustaining events as detained by a 4D VAR model. Larger, more temperature-based control balloons will be the center of the high and low pressure perturbations. The effect is required is not as specific, resting mostly on regional temperature. Will now technology develop to the level of atmospheric control by 2030? Money spent in nanotechnologies give a good indication it will continue to develop. You can thank our tax dollars for that. How's it feel being extorted, folks? Lux Research, a market science and economic research firm, claimed that nanotechnology would become a commonplace and across the spectrum of consumer goods by 2014. 2012 showed a mere $12 million invested globally in nanotechnology. In contrast, 2008 Lux Research estimates rise to $50 billion in sales of emerging nanotechnology, except that sales of nanotechnology will reach a $2.5 trillion by 2014. Dr. Hall stated that 2013 nanotech is 24 AU ACSC Boger AY09 likely be good enough for the weather machine in correspondence with the researcher. For 4 generations, nanotechnology have been described by the United States National Nanotechnology Initiative as Figure 3. We are currently in the 2nd generation, specifically marked by the advance in computers, CPU technology. Advances in the 3rd generation will allow for much of the diamond nanoskin balloon system to function. 4th generation will converge networkability, energy conversion, and molecule scales activities in the atmospheric change. There's a lot of it down here you can see for yourselves. Nanotechnology enables to critical humps in the weather control by 2013 timeframe. Nanotechnology will allow complex models to receive accurate and timely data from within and across atmospheric system. These models can then directly those elements to make changes to the atmospheric system. System detail, data, and response will be a function of the size of an area quickly. It is changing how many weather balloons are at your disposal. Conclusion and recommendations. The future of nanotechnology will enable creation of stratus cloud formations to defeat due and optically target attacks on the United States assets. This research has shown that optical or directed energy systems can be rendered ineffective with the cloud or dense fog. A cloud rather than small dust are ablatable particles methods result in a persistent regenerative defense against dew. Advances in technology are beginning to bring the phenomenon more completely under our control. The current capability, such as 4D VAR computers, modeling enables the establishment and design of a cloud system. Small diamond skin balloons allow measurement and delivery devices to become elements of the weather system, removing closed loops, control, response, lag time. Nanotechnology allows these balloons to maneuver and network within and from the atmospheric system. Finally, nanotechnology facilities that the basic functions of measuring and changing critical variables requires for the weather control operations. Concepts not covered in this research include the logistics of manning and operating a weather control system. Study requirements to support the span of technological systems and broad physical area will be necessary as a weather control becomes a reality. The vulnerability, exploitive possibilities of the system can be analyzed in the process of developing tactics, techniques, and procedures, TTPs, as with any major weapon system. Dense with the weather control system requires a small specific detail on the subsystems to be of use. Although described as a defensive measure in this project, author fully realizes a wide spectrum of possible weather control applications. While conducting the environmental scan for this project, many experts highlighted dangerous second and third order effects along with international opinion and law in regards to weather modification in order to sustain a weather shield. Other areas will have prolonged periods of perturbations. One moment here. Although not direct area of this particular paper, potential chain reflections and effects outside in the specific area must be considered and implemented into Weather Operation Plan, or WOP, W-O-P. The most important recommendation is to begin monitoring in preparation for weather control technology. Weather operations and organizations in the United States Air Force need to monitor the technologies linked in this discussion. As the capabilities converge, USAF, or United States Air Force organizations, may be the key to engaging, organizing, and implementing the defense use of weather control. It's a source from here is operational defenses through weather control in 2030. So eat that beta bunk. One is below here too. Interesting indeed. You know, some people really are questioning this. It's like what happened here. Someone did a comment on here. Thanks for this report. 2,200 structures were burnt in the Fort McMurray fire, 7,000 in California. A genius IQ starts around 140. The alligator skull characters have IQs over 400. Then add an AI. These texts are AI controlled. UCLA developed a holographic processor called the Cube in 1988. It replaced a 17-acre computer used by FinCEN for global banking and all financial stock markets. That was 30 years ago. If you read the Russian series books of Ring Cedars called the Anastasia series, people on other planets controlled by technology are visited. The quality of life's not very high. Reminds me of the loneliness we're at now. Weather wars are consciousness wars. Do you follow Cobra event hope porn? Much like the David Wilcock Blue Avian Sphere being hope porn. We're in some god awful ET AI Ender Games, Trial by Fire, good name for it. I have to agree with that comment. Darren's right on that. I gotta respect that. It's like this, my friend. What they're doing is tangling with Mother Nature. When you do that, it will blow back in our faces when least expected. Harp on steroids, I say once again. But based, I say, I examine these photos. I do have to question, is it bigly possible this was a synthetic plan? I'm not saying yes or no, but there's a possible chance. But based on this information, what happened over there, horrific event, has a good amount of merit. I always got to question these things. Look up more about the direct energy weapons too. It's just a little teaser example that's been addressed here or narrated. Always gotta pay attention, my friends, because if we don't, we can all suffer from this. That's one of the areas you have to always seek. A lot bigger than what it is. Question everything at the best of your ability. In other words, observe responsibly. That's always been one of my mottos anyway. My slogans. Always observe responsibly. Alright, I'm going to be back, so stay tuned. Okay, so next one will be checking out. Came from Activist Post. Cool little site. People should really look at these things. And this one here says, new documents reveal CIA considered reviving MK Ultra-like programs. How astute. This is by Derek Burrows. Documents revealed, released to the American Civil Liberties Union, detail how the CIA considered using controversial psychotropic drug as a truth serum. The American Civil Liberties Union has released documents from the Central Intelligence Agency Office of Medical Services detailing a secret history of CIA torture operations. The 98-page account was written by an unknown top CIA medical official and explains how CIA doctors were looking for a truth serum drug they can use on prisoners as part of a formally classified project known as Project Medication. U.S. government lawyers have previously stated that a report was a draft and represented the impressions of one single officer, not the opinion of the whole agency. The ACLU reports the CIA studied records of old Soviet drug experiments as well as the CIA notorious and discredited MK Ultra program, which involved human experimentation with LSD and other drugs on unwitting subjects. The CIA doctors involved in Project Medication wanted to use Verse, a psychoactive drug similar to some of those used in MK Ultra on prisoners. Although the project was apparently never put into action, the American professionals was working with the CIA did play a role in human experimentation. The ACLU noted that medical professionals were indispensable to legitimize torture and attempted to provide a veneer of legality for torture methods. The report notes that CIA doctors actually promote the idea that waterborne provided periodic relief from being forced to stand and subject to other forms of sleep deprivation and physical torture. In fact, the CIA's medical staff claimed that torture programs was reassuringly free of enduring physical or psychological effects. I was wondering if the CIA doctors ever have tried to waterboard themselves. That doesn't mean that the doctors were sadistic or anything like that, ACLU attorney Deror Linden told the AP, but it means they were complicit because this pseudo-scientific torture could not have happened without doctors' participation. The report states that there were two roadblocks using the Verse as a potential truth serum, a prohibition against medical experimentation on prisoners, and a ban on interrogational use of mind-altering drugs or those which profoundly altered the senses. The U.S. intelligence community's quest for a truth serum goes back to at least the 1950s. From early 1950s to the early 1970s, the U.S. government funded millions of dollars worth of research into LSD, including the CIA's infamous MK Ultra program, which sometimes tested LSD on unwitting participants and investigate the possibility of using as the drug as a truth serum against spies. The official version of events say that MK Ultra was shut down and attempts at mind control were seized. Despite the claim by CIA authorities, attempts at mind control continue to this day, albeit in more subtle forms such as advertising and technology. Either way, as the ACLU notes, mind control was officially off the table, but decades later the agency decided to experiment on humans again, testing for pseudoscientific theories of learned helplessness on its prisoners. This is a reference to psychologists who helped mastermind the CIA torture protocols and escape without any legal repercussions. James Mitchell and John Bruce Jessen are former U.S. military psychologists who are seen as the architects of the CIA's torture program. They serve in the military's Survival, Evasion, Resistance, and Escape program, or theory, teaching U.S. troops how to resist and survive torture in the event of capture by foreign nations. Theory was supposed to help troops understand torture technique, while Jensen and Mitchell supervised their mental state. After 9/11, psychologists were asked with designing and developing the CIA detention, rendition, and interrogation operations, using their technology of how to resist torture to reverse engineer the theory program to create a new program that would break detainees' mental state in the hope of creating loose-lip zombies. By the alleged end program, Mitchell, Jessen, and Associates were paid more than $80 million in taxpayer money. The ACLU makes an important note regarding the dehumanizing of effective torture. The CIA's torture program is the way of corrupt virtually every individual and institution associated with. The ACLU wrote, over the years, we've learned how lawyers twisted the law and psychologists betrayed their ethical obligations in order to enable the brutal and unlawful torture of prisoners. Never forget that the people responsible for these horrible decisions and policies are not elected by the people. So that was originally from his article, TCRN. He's the founder of that. I was in there first. But, oh yeah. Not surprised at all. I know the American Civil Liberties Union has some of the CIA directors or CIA doctors compensate some of those victims on it, and which I do give them homage for those areas. Even though some of their actions may be watered down, but it doesn't mean everything they got to do is bad. So I'll be very sincere, and I got to thank them for that. And like I said, friends, it goes real complex, a lot more complex than what people think and what's really occurring. That's why you always got to, pay attention, look at things a lot broader than what it is. That's why government in Latin, once again, means control of the mind. Friends don't let friends support tyranny. Alright, do one more here. This one came out, this one here is pretty cool. It came out yesterday. This here, Justice Department says Matthew Whitaker's appointment is constitutional, prompting rebuke from legal scholars. Matthew Whitaker can serve as an acting attorney general, even though he hasn't been confirmed by Congress. Justice Department said Wednesday, sparking backlash from legal scholars who say the argument runs to the counter of the Constitution. In a 20-page opinion released by the Department's legal counsel, DOJ attorneys argue the so-called Vacancies Reform Act permits the president to pick an unconfirmed official to lead the Justice Department as long as only as a temporary basis. The opinion cites as President Hubley Ashton, an unconfirmed administration official who served as acting Attorney General for 6 days after Attorney General James Speed resigned in 1866, 4 years before the Justice Department had ever been founded. DOJ attorneys also leaned heavily on an 1898 Supreme Court decision that permitted President William McKinley to appoint an inferior officer to perform the duties of the U.S. Consul General in Siam because the general had fallen ill and was unable to work. I remember McKinley, he got shot too, and he wasn't really bankster friendly, so that holding was not limited to the circumstances of that case, but instead reflected a broad consensus about the status of an acting principal officer, the attorney said. The legal counsel's office revealed in the opinion that it had advised President Donald Trump beforehand that he had the authority to appoint an unconfirmed department official, such as Mr. Whitaker, after he forced Jeff Sessions to resign last week. An acting AG Whitaker oversees all aspects of the Justice Department, including Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigation into the president's campaign and his possible coordination with the Russian government during the 2016 election. And what's interesting about that, because there's a video by Consortium News. Ray McGovern, former CIA analyst, asked that question to James Clapper. And he talked about the weapons of mass destruction. And even in his own, Mr. Clapper's own book, he was dumbfounded that there was nothing like that happening in Iraq. And he brought up, too, that the Russian collision was never hacked, but leaked. And the NSA attests to that. So Mueller's investigation on this Russian connection is null and void. The mic dropped. Doesn't matter if you love Trump or not. It's just the whole thing was a cruel hoax, as far as I'm concerned. And I'm not the only one. There's individuals from all walks of life, not really fond of President Trump in general. But when it came to the Russian collision, including some of the progressives I have contacts with, never bought the story. I will proceed here. Democrats have called Whitaker to recuse himself from overseeing the Mueller probe, considering his numerous public slights against the inquiry and evidence closeness to Trump and to the White House. Maryland Attorney General Brian Frosch filed a legal motion Tuesday asking a federal judge to bar Whitaker from serving as acting AG and replace him with a Deputy Attorney General, Rosenstein, who had been confirmed by the Senate and had up until Whitaker's appointment overseeing Mueller's team. Good grief. How glamboyant, right? Constitutional scholars agreed with Frosch's take. Jen David Olin, the vice dean of Cornell Law School, and said Wednesday DOJ's opinion is persuasive on a statutory level, but argued it contradicts the constitutional mandate that requires cabinet officials to be confirmed by the Senate. Whitaker's appointment also violates the federal line of succession that affirms Rosenstein as the rightful acting attorney general pending a permanent replacement, Olin said. Moreover, Olin said in an 1898 Supreme Court decision that the opinion relies on a time error, but it taken weeks or even months to dispatch a Senate-approved official to take over for the incapacitated Consul General in Siam. This was not the case here, Olin told the New York Daily News, referring to Whitaker. There are a lot of people who are Senate-confirmed. The Justice Department could have taken over Sessions immediately. Rod Rosenstein is one of them. Neil Cattell, a Supreme Court attorney, a former acting U.S. Solicitor General, pointed out that the Office of Legal Counsel has an intrinsic bias. OLC literally writes opinions for the Attorney General by law. So this is just John Whitaker writing an opinion saying he is constitutional. Cattell tweeted, "Is this the best they can find?" Chris Sommerfeld, the New York Daily News. I can say this, based on what I've been listening to and what I've been observing, Mr. Whitaker himself is considered pro-nullification. So you know what I say? I recommend President Trump nominate him. Put him up there. Who cares what Rothstein thinks? They got a bunch of fools up there right now, clowns, are trying to do things on a federal supremacist level to keep the status quo or legacy of AG's Jeff Sessions. I'm tired of it. I say get someone there who's pro 10th Amendment, pro Bill of Rights, not these compromising fools, jackasses, or treasonous quacks, regardless where they're from. Principle over party. Well, one thing, as I got so far, I say, President Trump, I criticize you at times, but if you nominate him, I'll back you up. Okay? Plain and simple. It doesn't mean we're going to be friends. Alright. I thank everyone for listening. Plus, feel free to download and share us throughout the social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or you have something that's interesting you want to check out, whatever you do, please address your correspondence with decorum and include the stuff on the direct energy weapons. If you can send me the information, that'd be great. I'll post all my information, social media sites, and email addresses on my Spreaker page and beyond. Alright? Once again, thank you for your time. But always remember that demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves, keep on spreading the love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.